What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again. And today, of course, we're going to get back into the XFL because we just had day one of week 3. That's right, we had day one of week 3. And man, was it exciting and it was fun. And so, yeah, we've got to talk about it. Listen, we're going to cut to the chase. If you haven't subscribed, you know what you need to do. And remember, look down in the link below in the description. I'll go ahead and have the giveaway link down there, and you can get all the information from that video. All right, let's get right into it. This was a fun day of football, and that's what it was. It was football. And listen, I'm going to touch back on, if you want to call it my rant, whatever, the video when I talked about how they were talking about bad quarterback play. Listen, today we got some really good quarterback play from 4, maybe 5 different guys, depending upon if you want to throw Flowers in there. Flowers only threw 6 passes. He was 4 for 6. He looked pretty good. Listen, if you can't say anything about this league other than it's got good football if you watch the games. For those of the guys who are out there who are saying stuff, who, are putting together segments and talking about the XFL just because they have to, because it's the hottest thing out there right now and it's the biggest buzz that they can get from putting content out there, and all you do is bash it. Obviously, I can tell that you haven't watched it, because if you watched the 2 games like I did today, you would have been on the edge of your seat like I was up until the end of both of those games. Listen, I'm not giving anybody any more excuses, and you guys watching, don't give them any more excuses either. We need to just come out and say it. Listen, we are not going to take this lazy reporting. The fact of the matter is that I am a guy who sits on my couch in my spare time or in a chair in my basement, whatever, and I cover the XFL, and I am getting paid to do something else during the day, and I'm doing a better job than you guys are of it. You need to get your lazy rear ends up, or lazy rear ends on a couch, and be watching these games. Not only because you need to be informed before you do something. That's the first thing that you learn about doing a job, is you need to learn how to do the job before you can do the job. And then the second thing is because it's fun football. And listen, I thought that this Tampa Bay game, it had me kind of worried. I said it in the video. That is a fairly large stadium, and I didn't really feel the buzz coming out of Tampa Bay, but actually they had a pretty good showing there, and the crowd got into the game. Well, Tampa Bay gave them a reason to get into that game. There's no doubt about that. Tampa Bay came out to play today, and my hat is off to those guys. It's sad that they had to lose, and they lose to, that Houston team is just dynamic. They're fantastic to watch. You're looking at a guy at PJ Walker who is, and for all intents and purposes, he right now is the MVP of the league. He is, not only is he elusive, he can't hardly bring the guy down. He makes just about all the right decisions and hardly any misses, and he throws a beautiful, accurate ball. I can't say it enough. I mean, you looked at it, and they talked to Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator, and he goes, "Listen, I watch the offense of the other team practice before every game, and I watch what he's doing, and it scared me. The guy's throwing tight spirals. I didn't see one duck, and that's what we got. I mean, Philip Walker is amazing, and then Phillips, this guy he knows what he's doing. He's a really good wide receiver, and you can just tell that he's one of those guys that just definitely, especially for the NFL, he just got lost in depth. Because when he gets on the field, he's electric. He gets open. He knows how to catch the ball. He knows how to run after a catch. Those guys just stole the show. Regardless of, Butler running amazing this week and doing a really good job running, you miss it because Walker and Phillips, they're both trying to one-up each other by playing with one another in this game. It was great to watch. This Houston team, they are just on fire, especially that offense. And yeah, I just had a fun time. And listen, they had me sweating this one out because this one, I won by half a point. But listen, I'll take a win. Any day you can get a win, I'll go ahead and take a win, especially against the spread. I'll go ahead and I'll take that win every day. They look good. The defense had a little bit more struggle and a little harder time today. But Tampa Bay, they've been able to move the ball on teams. That hasn't been their issue. Their issue has been finishing drives and not making mistakes. And today, they finally started to do that. Now, they didn't get the win, but they held with Houston the whole game. That's what I'm saying here, folks. If you watched the game and paid attention, you had to watch to the end because they were in it up until that last possession that they had. This was not a blowout, then this was not a bad game. This was two teams going back and forth, and you had to sit there and watch it, and you had dynamic plays. You had playmakers making plays. I mean, you had an 84-yard touchdown pass that was just a good read by the quarterback, got out the ball good, and wide receiver. And here's one of the things, and I know I go back to the AAF, but I don't really care. It's what we have to, at least for me, it's what I have to compare it by. And when I looked at the AAF, one of the things that was lacking for me were big dynamic plays. And it came from two things. One, they didn't have quarterback play that was good enough to get it to playmakers. And two, I just really didn't feel like they had the playmakers. And here, we're seeing the playmakers. Now, granted, a lot of the guys that are playmakers, I do know that they played in the AAF. And I'm not taking away from that, but I'm also saying that it's a twofold thing here. If you don't have a quarterback that can get you the ball, we're never going to see how dynamic you are in a game. And it goes to just show that this is what's happening in the XFL. Dynamic playmakers are getting the ball and they're making plays. I did not see an 84-yard touchdown where a guy is busting it down the field or seeing a 6'8", 250-pound guy in Parham, we'll talk about that game later, hustling down the field like he did. It is just on a different level than the AAF was. And not to mention that we're not dumbing down the defenses like the AAF did. Remember, in the AAF, you could only rush 5 guys on defense. We're actually running real defenses here. This is real football. And you guys who've been bagging it for a week because of a poor display by Matt McGloin, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves. And you really need to sit down and watch some of those illegal streams on YouTube. We'll see what happens with them. I'm joking around here, but watch the games and see just how good of a football game these are. They're enjoyable. They're fun. And actually, as the game was going on, I found myself sitting there, and I'm like, "Am I doing this? Am I really doing this? I'm rooting for the Vipers." And so I'm sitting there. Now, I'm not a Vipers fan, but it's like I want to see them succeed. And I know that I picked Houston. And so I'm like torn in this thing, but I wanted to see them succeed, and they were doing well, and Houston just had just that much more. And, they couldn't pull it out. And, at the end, Cornelius showed his inexperience. I was a little bummed on 2 levels there towards the end of the game. I really feel like I think that Tressman giving up the play calling to the offensive coordinator was a huge plus. And I think that they needed to do that, and they need to keep doing that. Now, I know some of you got on me about Cornelius. I think he played a better game this week. He got better from his first week to his second week. I still think that they should have had Flowers in there, especially when they got around that goal line there and they had the ball. They were marching down the field. They got down there inside the 10, and they could not punch the ball in. I mean, they had an opportunity to get 6 points and possibly tie it or win the game there in the fourth quarter. And I feel like you were running the ball good, and I just feel like Flowers would have been a better option there with it. I liked the way Flowers played when he was in there. I thought when Flowers was in there and they kind of did that, and then right there to try to get more of the passing game things going on, they brought Cornelius back in, and that kind of seemed to spark him. I think he played a lot better from that point on. He wasn't great. A lot of those young quarterback type of mistakes that he made. But I thought it was a much, much better. This was serviceable. And remember, you're looking at two guys that are backup quarterbacks in the league. And I can tell you that Cornelius would probably have been in the AAF, probably like the third or fourth best quarterback in the AAF, especially if he gets more and more reps. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And this guy's going to be sitting the bench next week behind Aaron Murray. But as I look at it, Butler did a good job running the ball. I like Smith. I really wish Patrick had a little bit harder time running the ball today. Like I said, I wish they would have pounded it a little bit more with Flowers, a little bit more ball control in the second half, and not allow Houston to have all those opportunities that they did to come back, to score, to do that. I think that. Cornelius had a spark there. They kind of figured some things out, and then Houston figured them out, and they just didn't readjust. And I thought maybe bringing Flowers back in that they would have. But listen, this Vipers team, they've been flopping things back and forth. So for them to stay consistent throughout the end of the game, I applaud them for that. But I think in this instance, this probably was a detriment to them, and I think going back to Flowers would have helped. It was really cool. The crowd was neat. They had over 17,000 people there. 17,300 is what they supposedly announced in the stadium there at Raymond James Stadium. So that's a big deal to have over 17,000 people. Now, if you looked at that Seattle-Dallas game and that they're on pace right now, if they could have a really big turnout like what they're expecting to have in St. Louis tomorrow, that they could end up adding another 10% on what they did last week so that their sales are going up and up and up each week. Take the normal sports media people out the window, throw them out the window. The fan is loving XFL. They're loving the XFL football and the experience that you get. Listen, if you take this, okay, right now they're selling in a lot of the places except for St. Louis, where they're selling out tickets and they're selling tickets for $100 a pop. You can go into a game today. We could go watch an amazing game between the Houston Roughnecks and the Tampa Bay Vipers. I could take my whole family and park and get in for $100. That is ridiculous and a great value for a professional football game to have fun. And, I could get out of there, buy some souvenirs and some stuff. And if I really wanted to splurge, get out of there around $200 and have a really nice afternoon with my family and have some things to bring home with me to remember things by, and also be able to have some refreshments while we're there at the game. I'm loving what the XFL is doing here. But the first game, so breathe a sigh of fresh air to get over that one with, letting Houston kind of pull that one out for me. Now let's go ahead and let's move to the afternoon game. In this game, the score doesn't really tell what this game was. This game was a chess match between two different styles of football, between a very fast-paced type of a football that wants to run fast, sling the ball around, and we're going to throw the ball, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to show you that. And then a more methodical, trying to figure things out, read you type of a game that Seattle runs. And I know I was wrong on this game. Hey, I went 1-1 today, and if I can stay around 500, I'll take that all day, especially against the spread. And I was a little off on this game, but one thing I was not off on was that crowd. That crowd gave Landry Jones and that offense's fits all day long. It matters there in Seattle. And Seattle has themselves set up to where we've starting to see that, yeah, the Renegades put up 400 and some odd yards. I mean, let's go ahead and look at this. Their total yards that they had was 374. They gave up a lot of yards, but that defense is pretty stout. And, it's just a testament to just the coaching of Jim Zorn and that team. And even though they're 1-2, I don't necessarily think that they're down and out with this. As I'm looking at it, they've got some really nice bright spots, especially on defense. That Frazier is playing at another level at that defensive end. He had another strip sack this game. It was a strip sack, and they recovered the fumble. And add that on top of his interception last week. Like, this guy's going to be picked up by the NFL. And I don't want to necessarily get into the whole NFL thing, because that is kind of, it's where these players are going to end up. They're going to go, so that's cool for them. But, you're kind of like, well, we still want them in the XFL and we want to see them play, because a lot of us know if these guys go back to the NFL, they're going to get paychecks. A lot of them, especially if they're skill position players, they're going to get signed to futures contracts, or they're going to get signed to practice squads. And what's going to happen to these guys? A guy like, Phillips or Parham or, maybe PJ Walker is they're just going to get buried again. And we're not going to see the electrifying PJ Walker ever again. And that's what's sad to me. And so we talk about this money thing, and we talk about them getting back to the NFL. And listen, they want to make millions, and they want to be playing at the top of their level. Hey, I do too. That's what that's what we strive for, right? But in another instance, I want to see these guys on the field. Like, I don't want to see a guy buried. I want to see Cardell Jones play. I don't want to see him holding a clipboard on the sidelines. That's not what I want. And the reality of it is that PJ Walker could quite possibly play. Start for some of these NFL teams. The way that he's been playing, the way he's been slinging around the ball, it's showing to me more and more each week as we see that he's more consistent. And what I mean is, it's not that he's doing better, he's staying consistent throughout the whole thing. I'm loving it. So let's go ahead and let's look at some of this stuff from the second game. I know I keep going on tangents, but that's what instant, reactions and reflections are for. This game is not. This video is not formatted for me just to stay in one spot. It's to go all over, cover everything, and look at the different things and the things that were fun. And this was another fun game. And I know that Dallas doubled up Seattle, but that wasn't until the fourth quarter when they kind of, figured things out. And again, they went back to the running game. Cameron Artis Payne, 13 carries for 80 yards. He was 6.2 yards a carry. Ran well again. Once they finally established the pass, got him back in the running game, I thought that, again, he ran well. I'm waiting for him to have that 100-yard rushing game. I want that 100-yard rusher, and I think tomorrow, if Jones is healthy, I think that Matt Jones of the Battlehawks could be our first 100-yard rusher tomorrow. But I think that Seattle on offense, they need to figure some things out. They need to figure out how to get the ball down the field and actually put that defense in a place where they feel threatened that a guy's going to get behind them. I know that they've got guys on that squad that can do it. It isn't that I don't think that they have the personnel to do it. They're just not challenging the defense to do it, if you ask me. And I think that that's what hurt them as the game went on. As the game went on, the Dallas defense challenged the Seattle offense to get the ball behind them, and they didn't. And so they just, gave them checkdowns, and they stayed on their men and kept them from getting first downs where they were getting first downs before, and they stopped the run. Now, granted, Gardner made some drops. You had some other guys that made some drops in there too. Silvers ran the ball better today, and it definitely kind of shows that he was hurt last week, and that might be part of his not playing as well. he had a decent game. I mean, what can I say about it? I think that he's too quick to check down, though. They need to figure out how to get some guys down the field. And one of the things that just kind of bothers me, so Trey Williams runs really hard, and he's a really good running back, but he is a 4.3 40 guy. You need to line him up in the slot and get him down the field. Have him run that jerk route, or have him, I mean, they were innovative, and granted, penalties killed Seattle. All of their false starts and, you know, all of their little things that got them off track. That offense, and they talked about it. Joe Klott, the Saturday commentators, I love. I love listening to Steve Levy, Greg McElroy, and then Kurt Menefee and Joel Klott. I think that both of those groups, they do a fantastic job. I love listening to them, and I love listening to what they do. If you listen to Joel Klott and Kurt Menefee, the whole time, you know, they're saying, they're giving you the check down, and that this offense needs to stay on pace to really keep going down the field. And the second half, they shot themselves in the foot multiple times to where they never could get on pace, and Dallas took advantage of it and kept them in front of them as well, to where they weren't able to get down the field when they needed to. And it was a shame, because it really kind of then took the wind out of the sails, and you wanted to see Seattle then respond. So, you know, Seattle kind of got up on Dallas. Dallas figured things out, and then Dallas got up, and then Dallas kind of took it, and that's kind of how it went. And Landry Jones had another good day, 274 yards. He threw 2 picks again, and you can tell he's just starting to get back in things and still figuring things out. He's still making some errant throws here and there and that. But once he got into the game, you know, he got solid. And that's the thing that teams are going to have to figure out. Watch out for Landry Jones. Once he gets into the game and gets it figured out, you're going to have a hard time stopping this offense once it gets going. But for some reason, it seems like it takes them a little bit. They got to get down the road a little bit before things really click. And once that offense clicks, they get that pass game going, and they open up that running game, you're done. And they're going to take advantage of you. Parham is going to be a star in this league. And again, good night. Okay, so the guy is 250 pounds. He's 6'8", and he's running away from people and jumping over people. This guy is a freak of nature. And like I said, he's going to be one of those guys, again, like Phillips, that it's going to be cool to see him get a paycheck in the NFL, but it's going to be sad because he's going to be buried on some roster again. That's just how I feel. And you could take that for whatever it's worth with it. This was another fun game until that fourth quarter. The Dragons just couldn't figure out how to get down the field. I want to see the Dragons utilize Trey Williams and his speed to get down the field. Now, they got Austin Perel back in the game a little bit. The man, especially when they get going and they need possession receptions, he knows what he's doing. They need to figure out something to get him in that game more. He is a lot like that Holly for Houston. And Holly, again, is another one of those guys. I like those little... They do so much that they don't need to do it with Holly that much, but I love the little nuances, the little things that they do with Holly. You know, they give him the jet sweep. They give him the... a screenplay. I mean, he's just a hard-nosed, kind of a hybrid guy that you just don't know how to handle. And so he just takes advantage of it and does his thing and ends up with it. And that's what I feel like with number 13 here. Perel is just one of those guys that they need to figure out how to get the ball like that to him. You know, do these screens. I think a jet sweep would be cool with him. You know, and really try to open that up. And Keenan Reynolds, I don't know. They've been using him kind of as their deep guy. You know, he and Williams and, Brandon Silvers needs to get a little bit more accurate with some of his throws downfield. And that, I don't know. Sorry, not Dan Williams. Dan Williams, I'm thinking about. Good. Hey, instant reaction. Dan Williams, they need to do more with him in Tampa Bay. Yes, they do. Trey Williams and Keenan Reynolds, they need to figure out how to get these guys down the field. Pharaoh showing again why he's a great guy to have. He's fantastic. I think it would be kind of cool if you could figure out a way to have Trey Williams and Pharaoh or Gardner all on the field at the same time and really use Williams like in that slot. They've got weapons there. I really like the weapons that they have there. I think that they need to figure some things out. I think Brandon Silvers might, he showed me some moxie and some stuff that he can stand in there and make some throws. He definitely was hurt last week. If he played like he did last week and then turned around and played like he did this week, yeah, he definitely was hurt last week. So, I would like to see, how they do with that. But in Seattle, I just think that Houston's too good. Dallas is rising. I think that Seattle will be able to pull off a couple wins. I think that they can. I think that they can get the Wildcats, but I think wins are going to be hard to come by. I think they're going to be about a 500 team. They're going to be a fun team to watch, and that with it, I feel like Dallas and Houston, though, are gonna kind of run away with this thing, and they're not gonna have a shot in the West. Which, if they were in the East, I think that they would have a decent shot at making the playoffs in there. But yeah, Seattle's a fun team. The people there in Seattle love this team, and I just love the fact that they love them. The crowd was crazy. It was roaring. It was fun to watch. When they were able to keep them in the game, and that, man, it was hard for Landry Jones in that stadium. I mean, you can say whatever you want about only filling up about half of that stadium, but what is really cool, and you can't deny, is that when they got down there in that red zone, in there, they had a hard time of getting their play calls. Now, granted, I know that the stadium is designed to amplify the sound so that when you get loud, it gets loud. But in the XFL, for the crowd to have an effect on the game, that's really fun. And that's what it's all about here. It's about football. It's about fun. And can't we just have fun with football for more months and continue it on out while the NFL is on and off season? And that's what I want. And so I'm going to go back to what I've said before many times. Can't we just have football? Listen, I know that the NFL is the best game out there, and it's got the best players out there. But can't we just love football and want to watch more football and have more football? I know that that's what I want. And if you're a true football fan, that's what you would want too. And this is good football. This has been very, very good football. And I think that there's plenty enough room for both leagues. That's my thought process. That's how I feel. And maybe I'll expound on that in another video and that with it. But man, I'm just fired up. I enjoyed both of those games. I had a fun time watching football. And in all honesty and reality, this has probably been kind of like a rejuvenation for me with football. One, because I didn't know a bunch of these guys, and now we're starting to learn these guys as we go and who they are, and we're starting to get stars, which is really cool because I didn't really have that with the AAF. I mean, I watched the AAF games, but it never, like I said, you never had anybody like stand out and wow you like that. And so that's been really cool, and it's just been neat to see, like, have one game on, be able to focus on one game, and it be fun. Whereas on college, or even on Sundays, if the game's not good, you just switch it to another one, try to find another one that's good, or, you just watch your team, which I love watching my teams. But this, as just a football fan, I have no dog in the fight here. I haven't decided to pick a team yet, and most of you guys know why. I would like, hopefully, that the XFL can have a team around me at some point here, and it's kind of be weird, switching back and forth. And so, no team has really grown on me yet. So I'm just kind of rooting for the league, and I like it. But all in all, this is another win for the XFL, and you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. I think it's great, and I think that it's going to even show next week when we see we'll probably see most of the attendance numbers probably tomorrow night, but then we get on sometime Monday, maybe even early Tuesday when we start to get the numbers on the TV ratings. I think that's going to show that it's just another great day and another good week for the XFL. And hopefully some of these guys will start to actually tune in and not just open their mouths before they even know what they talk about. All right, I feel like I'm starting to ramble, but listen, I had fun, and I hope you guys had fun too, because we had another day of football. And listen, tomorrow we get another day of football as well. So we'll be back here talking XFL football reactions on Sunday games as well tomorrow. So yeah, come on back. All right, well, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.